Welcome back to the Motivated Mind Zone. Glad to have you here.
It really is great to have you with us. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something, well, intensely personal for many learners.
Absolutely. That journey, right, from knowing a language deep inside your head.
To actually getting it out, speaking it with confidence.
Yeah.
It's a huge psychological barrier.
Oh, definitely. And if you're listening, chances are you felt that awful struggle. You're standing there facing someone who speaks the language, English in this case.
And bam, mind goes blank.
Totally blank. Heart's pounding, mouth feels like it's full of cotton.
Uh-huh. And the sentences you learned, they won't come out.
It's this weird wall, isn't it, between the knowledge and actually using it?
Exactly. You know the words, maybe even the grammar rules backwards and forwards.
But then a native speaker talks, and it's just whoosh, too fast.
And the fear of messing up, of looking foolish, it's paralyzing.
So you walk away feeling kind of small, frustrated, silent.
Yeah. And all the while, that big dream is still inside you, isn't it?
That's the kicker, that powerful dream of having real conversations, just chatting easily.
Or traveling without constantly pointing or using a translation app.
Landing that international job, maybe. Or just, watching a movie and getting it without glancing at subtitles every 2 seconds.
Fundamentally, it's the dream to truly live in English.
Right. And that high-stakes feeling, that whole emotional reality, that's the backdrop for the amazing source material we've dug into today.
Yeah, we've got this incredible firsthand account from a language learner named John. He documented his whole process.
Everything from being terrified to speak to actually overcoming that anxiety.
So our mission here isn't just to tell his story. We want to kind of reverse engineer his success for you.
Exactly. We're pulling out the specific philosophy he adopted, the step-by-step methods he used.
And maybe most importantly, those crucial mindset shifts.
No.
The things that let him go from being afraid.
To actually starting conversations, finding work, all within, what was it, a week?
Just 1 week. It's pretty remarkable. And this isn't theory, right? This is tested in the real world, under pressure.
No textbooks in sight. Well, maybe some reading, but we'll get to that.
Huh, yeah, definitely. But we need to start with the absolute core idea, the foundational shift.
Ah, yes. The quote from his teacher, Sarah. This really sets the stage for everything else.
It's the guiding star for the whole method, you could say. And we want you, listening right now, to really let this sink in, she said.
English is not just a language. English is a bridge.
A bridge. Simple but profound.
I just love how that one sentence flips the whole script. Because John, when he first landed in Spain, he basically knew nothing useful for connecting, right?
Right. He said he knew hello, thank you, maybe how to ask for water.
Yeah.
Functional, barely.
But not connecting, not having those real conversations he craved. The fear was definitely winning.
So that moment, he decided to walk into that little language school. That was the first real act of bravery.
Yeah, pushing past the nerves.
And meeting Sarah, the teacher from England, he describes her welcome as warm, safe, which is just so critical, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Language learning is vulnerable. You're basically a toddler, again, linguistically speaking. You need that safety net.
You're trying to say complex things with, like beginner tools. So feeling safe from judgment is key.
And the classroom itself, it sounds like it was a mini United Nations.
Totally. Students from Italy, Poland, Brazil, China, Turkey,
Yeah.
all in the same boat.
All wrestling with English, which
Right.
must have made Sarah's bridge idea land even harder.
Precisely. When she framed it that way, English is a bridge. She wasn't just teaching English. She was performing a kind of cognitive therapy, almost.
How so?
Well, English stopped being this subject, mountain of grammar rules to memorize, tests to pass.
Yeah, that's stress-inducing stuff.
And instead, it became a tool, a direct way to connect with all those other people in the room and eventually the world.
A bridge connects people who are otherwise separate. Simple as that.
And that perspective immediately lowers what we call the affective filter. That's the psychological wall built by stress, anxiety, fear of looking stupid.
Right, right. If it's a subject, I worry about getting an A plus A about perfect grammar.
But if it's a bridge,
Then I just worry about whether my message got across. Did we connect? Did the bridge hold?
exactly, the focus shifts completely. It's not about internal perfection anymore. It's about external function, connection.
That must have been such a relief. It kind of democratizes it, doesn't it? You don't need a perfect gold-plated bridge.
Just one strong enough to walk across. It gave John immediate hope, he said.
And he contrasts this with his old school experience, right? Memorizing lists for tests.
And then forgetting them 2 weeks later because they were never used. Never attached to anything real. Just floating words.
So Sarah didn't just give them the philosophy, she immediately put it into action.
Yeah, her mandate was pretty radical for a classroom setting. She told them basically, no more just studying grammar in isolation, no more just writing lists.
What did they do instead?
They would speak, listen, ask questions, answer them right away. Total immersion, even within the classroom walls.
That forces you to move English from that dusty, passive vocabulary shelf in your brain.
Right into the active vocabulary section. The stuff that actually comes out of your mouth and goes into your ears.
And those first wins were, like, deceptively simple.
Totally. The circle game. Just name where you're from and a basic question. What's your favorite food? Do you like music? Stuff like that.
Seems almost too basic compared to, analyzing an article or something.
But it's crucial. It's the very first step in making the language physical. John said it made English feel like it was in my mouth and in my ears, not just ink on a page.
Getting over the physical awkwardness of making new sounds.
Exactly. Linguists talk about articulatory suppression, that fear and actual difficulty of moving your mouth in unfamiliar ways. This simple game forces output.
And you get that little reward of simple communication happening.
Right. The brain starts wiring those English sounds to muscle movements and to social success, even on a tiny scale.
And then came the confirmation outside the classroom. That must have felt amazing.
Huge. He mentions leaving class one day and actually understanding something real, something spontaneous.
What was it?
2 tourists asking a waiter for coffee and tea.
Mm-hmm.
They spoke slowly, clearly, and he got it.
Wow. That's not a test score. That's real life clicking into place.
It's massive psychological validation. It proves the bridge isn't just a nice idea.
Yeah.
It actually works out there.
It connects the classroom effort directly to that big dream he had, makes it feel tangible, achievable.
Suddenly, it's not just abstract learning anymore. It's real potential.
Okay, so John's got the right mindset. He's starting to break the ice, but then comes the next big hurdle. Words. You need words to build that bridge, right?
Absolutely. And this came up directly in class. Anna, from Poland, asked the million-dollar question, what's the best way to learn many English words?
A question every learner asks. John felt it too. Without words, how can I talk? It's fundamental.
And this is where Sarah dropped another bombshell, a really counterintuitive approach to vocabulary.
Okay, I'm bracing myself. Forget flashcards.
Pretty much, she wrote one huge word on the board, reading.
Reading. Okay. That seems standard?
But the way she prescribed reading was different. Her core idea, read every single day.
Okay, consistency. Makes sense.
But why reading? Because, she argued, when you read consistently, you encounter the same important words over and over, naturally, in different sentences, different contexts.
So not just seeing station on a list, but seeing it in a story about catching a train, then maybe later about a bus station.
Exactly. The brain learns through that repeated, varied exposure. It builds much stronger connections than just memorizing station plays for trains, buses. Context is king.
Okay, that resonates. Raw data versus rich context. But reading can be hard if you don't know enough words.
which leads to her crucial strategy, the 95% rule.
95%, meaning?
Meaning you should choose reading material stories, simple articles, graded readers, where you already understand almost all of it. Like 95% or more of the words should be familiar.
Ah, so it needs to be easy reading. Why? Isn't challenge good?
Not when it leads to frustration and quitting. If you're stopping every other word to look things up, you feel lost, overwhelmed.
The effective filter shoots back up.
Precisely. But if you understand 95%, you can actually enjoy the story. You stay engaged. And that enjoyment keeps you reading longer.
And that small 5% of unknown words, they just sort of soak in naturally.
That's the idea. They stick because the surrounding context is clear and comfortable. You're not stressed. You're just absorbing them passively while following the narrative.
Okay, now for the really weird part, the anti-list secret you mentioned. What happens when I do hit one of those new words in my 5%?
Sarah's instruction was revolutionary. Do not stop. Do not study it. Do not write it down on a big list.
Wait, what? That goes against everything. My high school teachers would faint.
I know, it feels wrong. But it's based on how our long-term memory actually works. When John hit a word like station,
What did you do?
look it up quickly. You get a simple definition, place for trains or buses. Okay, got it. And then
Keep reading.
immediately, keep reading. Don't dwell on it. Give the brain that quick definition, but trust that the real learning, the real cementing happens later. Yeah. Through repeated encounters, seeing station again tomorrow in a different story than maybe next week, the brain naturally picks up patterns and reinforces the meaning without conscious, stressful effort. It's about depth of processing over time, not cramming.
So instead of forcing myself to memorize 7 words tonight,
Trust that those same 7 important words will pop up naturally over the next few days or weeks if you keep reading easy material. And that repetition is what makes them stick.
wow, John actually found this worked.
He did. He mentioned learning 5 new words from a short story about a girl traveling without any stress,
Yeah.
no list making, no repeating them 10 times. He just knew them from the context.
That takes a leap of faith, though, letting go of the list habit.
It does. But the payoff was incredibly fast and concrete for him.
The job center experience.
Exactly. Within a week of starting this reading practice, he went to a job center. The papers detailing 2 jobs, one in a cafe, one in a hotel, were in English.
And he could understand them.
Enough. Enough to grasp the details, make a choice, and actually land the cafe job. The reading had directly translated into real-world competence.
That must have been an amazing feeling. Proof positive.
He literally said, reading in class had already helped me in real life. It wasn't just an exercise anymore.
And that led him to write down that mantra, that powerful summary of the whole process.
Yeah. When I read, I learn words. When I learn words, I understand people. When I understand people, I can speak.
It positions reading not just as a skill, but as the absolute engine for communication. Beautiful.
Okay, so the vocabulary engine is running thanks to reading, but then comes the next breakdown point for so many learners. Pronunciation. Getting the sounds right.
Oh, yeah. The frustration is immense when you know the word, but people just stare blankly at you.
Totally. The source material highlights Arjun from South Korea. He knew the words, but people didn't understand him. He talked about the pain of having to repeat himself, feeling small.
That just kills your confidence, doesn't it? Makes you want to retreat back into silence.
Absolutely. So what was Sarah's fix for this? It wasn't just about learning phonetic symbols.
No? What then?
Her answer was very physical, very direct. Shadowing.
Shadowing. Okay, I've heard of this, but let's break it down. What exactly is it?
It's more than just basic repetition. Shadowing means you listen to a native speaker, maybe an audiobook clip, a podcast segment, something clear, and you repeat exactly what they say, almost simultaneously, right after they say it.
Like an echo or shadow following them closely.
Precisely. You're trying to mimic everything, the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation, the speed, as closely as possible in real time.
Why is that so much more effective than, say, just repeating a word slowly and carefully by itself?
Because speaking isn't just about individual sounds, it's about the flow between sounds. And it's physical. Your mouth, your tongue, your lips, your jaw, they're like muscles trained for years by your native language.
Right. They have muscle memory for those movements.
Exactly. So when you try to speak English, you often default to those old habits, which leads to accents and mispronunciations. Shadowing forces your mouth to do the new exercises.
Like training for a different sport.
Kind of. It trains the specific movements needed for English sounds, maybe the sound, different vowel placements.
Hmm.
But critically, it trains you for linking and reduction.
Ah, the way native speakers squish words together.
Yes. That's a huge part of why native speech sounds so fast. We don't say, what are you going to do? We say, what you going to do? Shadowing forces you to practice those connections, those dropped sounds.
So if I just repeat, good morning, I'm very happy to be here. Slowly, word by word.
You miss the natural music, the flow. Shadowing makes you try to match that connected, good morning, I'm very happy rhythm. It overcomes that muscular stiffness.
And the goal isn't necessarily a perfect native accent, right? Which is probably impossible for most adults.
No, the goal is clarity. And sounding natural within the rhythm of English, can people understand you easily? That's the win.
That's a much more achievable and less stressful goal than perfection.
And Sarah emphasized that. The mindset was key. Every time you shadow, you get better. It's not a test. It's practice, like playing scales on a piano.
And John saw this work with Arjun.
Yeah, he noted Arjun started smiling more, speaking more clearly. The confidence boost was visible. It changed the energy in the room.
That's powerful, and John himself started using this.
He did, but in a really smart, low-pressure way, during football practice with other international students.
Not practicing a formal speech then?
No, just short, functional, spontaneous stuff. Pass the ball, nice shot, good job, things you'd naturally say in that context.
So he was using the newly trained mouth muscles for immediate, real communication.
Exactly. With guys from Japan, Russia, Italy. It wasn't about complex sentences. It was about being understood quickly and easily. It reinforces that pronunciation is a physical skill you have to drill, like push-ups for your mouth.
Okay, push-ups for your mouth. I like that. All right, so John's building his vocabulary through reading. He's training his mouth muscles through shadowing, but there's still that other massive challenge: understanding native speakers when they talk fast. The input problem.
Yeah, the listening wall. It's huge. Sophia from Brazil nailed the feeling, didn't she?
Oh.
Getting frustrated watching movies because
Uh-huh.
people speak too fast,
Mm-hmm.
feeling lost, wanting to just give up.
That description of sentences coming like ocean waves, that's so relatable. Just washing over you before you can grab onto anything.
It's cognitive overload. Your brain is desperately trying to decode sounds, find word breaks, assign meaning, all at lightning speed. It often just crashes.
So what was Sarah's strategy for breaking through that barrier? How do you slow down the ocean?
She gave them a very structured listening method. Simple rules, but powerful if you stick to them. Rule number 1,
Let me guess. Listen every day.
bingo. Non-negotiable. Like brushing your teeth, she said. Daily exercise for your ears and brain to get stronger and faster at processing English sounds.
Makes sense. Rule 2.
Listen to easy audio. Again, we're back to that easy principle. Choose stuff you can mostly understand.
Why easy? Shouldn't I challenge myself with difficult stuff?
Because if it's too hard too fast, you'll tune out after 5 minutes. Burnout City. You need enjoyable, accessible content, simple dialogues, graded readers with audio, maybe slow news reports so you actually want to listen for longer periods. Engagement is key.
Okay, daily listening, easy content. What's rule 3? This sounds like where the magic happens.
Rule 3 is the secret weapon. Repeat many times. Listen to the same piece of easy audio again and again, like 5 to 10 times.
Okay, hold on. Why listen to the same short thing 10 times? Wouldn't I learn more by listening to 10 different things? More exposure.
That's the counterintuitive part again. The goal here isn't broad exposure initially. It's depth of processing and pattern recognition for speed.
How does repetition help with speed?
Think about it. The first time you listen to, say, "My name is John. I live in London. I work in a bank." Maybe spoken quickly, it might just sound like mush. "My name's John. I live in London or work in a bank."
Right. Just a stream of sound.
But on the second listen, your brain starts to catch a few anchors, maybe John in London. On the third or fourth listen, it starts hearing the little pauses, the word boundaries. "I live in London. I work in a bank."
So repetition gives the brain multiple chances to figure out where one word ends and the next begins, especially with all the linking.
Exactly. It learns the rhythm, the intonation patterns, the common connections. By the seventh or eighth listen, you're not struggling anymore. You're anticipating the sounds. Your brain recognizes the pattern almost instantly. That's what builds comprehension speed.
Yeah.
Sarah called it the magic of listening.
That makes a lot of sense, letting the patterns sink in through repetition.
And then Sarah layered another technique on top, especially for video content, the subtitle strategy.
Okay, how did that work?
It's a multi-stage process. Stage 1, watch the video with English subtitles on.
So you connect the confusing sounds to the clear written words.
Right. Auditory input linked to visual certainty. Stage 2. Watch the same video again, but this time without any subtitles.
Forcing your ears to do the work, relying on the memory from stage 1.
Precisely. It challenges your auditory recall. And then stage 3.
What's stage 3?
Try to say the words along with the video. Speak simultaneously with the actors or speakers.
Whoa. So that combines listening comprehension, shadowing practice, and speaking all at once.
Total integration. It's a powerful cycle.
And this structured listening, the repetition, it actually worked for John in his job.
Yes. He specifically mentions that moment in the cafe. A customer ordered a hot chocolate and a muffin, probably quite quickly.
And he understood it.
He did.
Okay.
And he could respond confidently, "Yes, of course, anything else?"
Hmm.
That ability to process a fast, real-world request wasn't luck. It was a direct result of that daily, repetitive listening practice.
He built the mental muscle for it.
He really did. He started actively seeking out easy English news videos, watching with subtitles, then without, repeating sentences,
Yeah.
building the habit.
And that metaphor he used is perfect, isn't it? English growing like a tree.
That gets water every day. Consistent listening nourishes the roots, strengthens comprehension, and naturally makes you want to speak more.
Okay, we've covered the philosophy, the vocabulary building, the pronunciation training, the listening skills. We've basically armed John, and by extension, you, the listener, with all the tools.
All the technical skills, yeah. But none of it matters, really, if you can't overcome that final boss, the fear of actually opening your mouth.
The speaking paralysis.
Yeah.
That little voice inside screaming, what if I make a mistake? What if they laugh at me? What if I sound stupid?
It's the ultimate barrier for so many people, pure fear of judgment.
So how did John get past that? What was Sarah's wisdom here? It sounds like it was less about technique and more about mindset again.
Absolutely. This is where her core message came back in full force. John constantly remembered her words. "When you make a mistake, you learn. Do not be afraid."
That reframes everything, doesn't it? A mistake isn't failure, it's data.
Exactly. It's not a reflection of your intelligence or worth. It's just a signpost showing you what you need to adjust. It's feedback.
It actually connects to this psychological idea of desirable difficulty. We learn better when things are a little challenging, when we have to struggle and correct ourselves.
Right. So by framing mistakes as teachers, Sarah was basically encouraging him to seek out those slightly difficult, mistake-prone situations, to lean into the discomfort.
And he did. He took that first small, terrifying step.
Yeah, starting a conversation with total strangers in the park. Can you imagine the guts that took?
What did he even say? Something complex?
Nope. Super simple. Excuse me, do you like this park? That's it.
And the reaction? Did they laugh?
No. He just smiled and answered. A normal human interaction.
He described that tiny moment as feeling like climbing a mountain.
Because it was. He faced the fear, and the immediate reward was positive connection, not ridicule. That's a massive reinforcement loop.
And it proved his realization. You don't need fancy words for real life, just simple vocabulary and
A brave heart, as he put it. Courage trumps complexity.
he also trained that brave heart in private, right? Risk-free practice.
Yes, the mirror technique. Standing in front of the mirror and just talking to himself in English.
Hello, my name's John. I'm learning English. Today I'm happy. Stuff like that.
Exactly. He admitted it felt weird, even silly at first.
I bet.
But then he said it started to feel powerful. He was practicing articulation, getting used to hearing his own voice speaking English, building confidence without any external pressure, rehearsing for the real world.
Making English part of his identity, not just the skill he pulls out sometime.
And he wove it into everything, thinking in English while waiting for the bus, reading street signs, changing his phone language.
Saying, "Good morning, John," to himself in English while brushing his teeth.
Little things, but they add up. English stopped being a subject confined to class time. It became the background operating system of his day.
It became something he lived.
And that constant low-level immersion strengthened him. It normalized the language, and crucially, normalized the idea of making mistakes.
He realized people weren't waiting to pounce on his errors.
Right. They generally listened for the message, and his mistakes weren't catastrophes, they were just moments, sometimes funny moments.
Ah, the sit in the bread story. That's brilliant.
Isn't it? He meant to say, you can sit in the chair to a customer at the cafe, but chair and bread maybe got mixed up in his head.
Understandable mistake. So embarrassing, though.
You'd think. But what happened? He said it, realized his mistake, and the customer just laughed. And then he laughed too.
Oh, wow. Shared laughter, not pointing and laughing.
Exactly. That moment was key. It wasn't painful humiliation. It was a moment of shared humanity, a funny little connection. It taught him mistakes could actually be sweet, not bitter.
They're proof you're trying, proof you're learning.
Mistakes are proof that you are learning. That became his mantra. They're not failures. They're milestones.
And all these steps, the mindset shift, the reading, the shadowing, the listening loops, the brave conversations, the mirror talk, embracing mistakes, they all led up to one big moment for him.
The peak of confidence. His 2-minute speech in front of the class.
2 full minutes talking about his family, his job, his motivation.
And he did it. Fluently, confidently. The applause he got afterwards. It wasn't just for his improved English.
It was for the journey, for the courage he showed.
Absolutely. And that moment really crystallized his final, perhaps most important, realization. He wrote it in his journal.
What was it?
Confidence is not a gift. Confidence is something you build every day.
Wow. It's not something you wait for. It's something you create through action.
Precisely. By choosing to act despite the fear, again and again, English stopped being a source of anxiety and became the tool that gave him courage, friends, and yeah, a whole new life. Hashtag tag outro. So let's just try and boil all of this down. John's incredible journey gives us some really clear, actionable pillars that you, listening now, can start building on today.
Yeah, let's recap. First, the absolute bedrock mindset. You've got to see English as that bridge, not a scary subject.
Focus on connection, not perfection. And remember, crucially, mistakes aren't failures. They are your teachers. Embrace that desirable difficulty.
Okay. Second pillar, vocabulary. How do we get the words?
Ditch the stressful lists. Read easy, enjoyable stuff every single day. Aim for that 95% comprehension rule.
And trust the process, right? Trust your brain will absorb words naturally through repeated exposure and context. Look them up quickly, then keep reading.
Exactly. Third pillar, pronunciation and clarity.
This is the physical part. Push-ups for the mouth.
Yeah. Do shadowing daily. Train your mouth muscles. Mimic native speaker rhythm, linking, and reduction. Aim for clarity, not impossible perfection.
Got it. And fourth, listening comprehension. How to handle the speed.
The repetition loop. Listen daily. Choose easy audio and listen to the same short piece 5, maybe 10 times. Let your brain lock onto the patterns.
And use that subtitle strategy for video. Watch with English subs, then without, then try speaking along, integrate everything.
Those are the mechanics. But the overarching lesson, the real spirit of John's story,
Is that fluency isn't some magic talent you're born with, it's a choice.
it's about courage, fundamentally. Believing in yourself enough to just open your mouth.
And keep opening it, trying again after you stumble, until trying just becomes living.
And think about the speed of his transformation.
Yeah.
Paralyzed by fear 1 week.
Starting chats in the park, giving a 2-minute speech soon after, it's amazing. And it all came down to that one principle he discovered.
Confidence comes from action. Simple, but so powerful.
Which really leaves just one final, maybe provocative thought for everyone listening right now.
If confidence is built purely by taking action,
Then what is one small action, one tiny conversation, maybe even just one simple sentence in English that you can choose to speak today?
because that action, however small it feels, that's the first step on the bridge. That's the only thing separating you now from the fluent life you're dreaming of.
Choose that action. Take that step.
We really encourage you to do it.
We'll see you next time on the Motivated Mind Zone for our next deep dive.